are on fire. Perhaps your corner of the world, or yours, or yours.
Mine, sometimes sure, ours, more and more. The whole wide world ablaze.
Fire or not, this is no time to shrink or shirk.
While despair or grief may enter the room of your heart, it is not the only occupant there.
There is more to you and more to us than the sticky residue of pain.
Your heart keeps company with ancestors who lent you deep wisdom, abiding love, scientific curiosity, wellsprings of compassion.
And humor when all else fails.
It is time to connect, to feel the deep truth of no separation.
It's time to thrive, though there are times you doubt it is possible.
This thing is our thing. This time is our time. It is to this moment each are called, and all are called.
Called to hope or not. Called to heal beyond borders. Called to resist, insist, persist. Called to hold back the flames.
Everything is on fire, but all is not lost.
It is good we gather together.
Come in, let us worship. Let's sing our opening hymn. Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Nathan. I'm one of your ministers. I'm pleased to welcome you today. A few things for you to know. Online folks, we're glad you're with us also. Today during middle hour in room 5 is the parent support group for parenting in tumultuous times. In room 6 is a branches sampler session. Branches is the way we get people connected in this church. Like, it's really the way we sort of build depth. If you have never done a branches, this is your chance to experience it. If you have done one, but you like it, this is your chance to experience it. So that's in room 6, and room 7 is the social justice meeting. On Wednesday, we are having a fire pit gathering. Again, summer, jokes, heat. We'll be inside if it's too hot or rainy. 6 o'clock. Also, Kathy, since we pay our teachers so much financially and not in appreciation or volunteerism or respect, do we have all of the teachers we need?
We could use a couple
a couple more, and we do not pay cash.
No, but we pay tons of appreciation.
But tons of appreciation, and all you get to do is shape the next generation of Unitarian Universalists.
No small thing.
Yeah. If you would like to volunteer to teach, talk to Kathy. Online folks, if you are local and can get to church, also talk to Kathy. You can email her at her magic email address. All right, so coming up next Sunday, it's going to be, I don't know how to put this. I keep telling you it's a regular old boring service because it's the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, but it's also the 4th anniversary of Hurricane Ida, and we're not going to push very hard on that because, in my experience, that's a reason people just kind of stop engaging. So we're going to acknowledge it, but really talk more about what it means for us to be together and to have made it through different anniversaries like that. So that's what's going to happen next Sunday. And then many of you probably already got this in the mail, but the 31st is our one-day only stewardship drive. This year we are trying something different. We're going to get it all done in one day. We're going to have the Michael Foster Project. We're going to have a bunch of stuff, like a bounce house and stuff for people to do during middle hour. It's a big celebration day. Some of you have already turned in your pledge cards. That wasn't what we're trying to do. We're trying to do a one-day pledge drive. So, yes, we will take them now. But we are not set up to take them now. Just the 31st is when it starts and the 31st is when it ends. The last thing we have is we have a guest in our pulpit today. The Reverend Karen Armina. I've known 16 years when we started seminary together. She is here bringing her kid to Tulane University. It's his sophomore year in school. If he's watching, we just talked about you. If he's not, I don't know why I just did that. Anyway, she is the minister, long-serving minister at James Reeb Unitarian Universalist Church in Madison, Wisconsin. She was here when you all installed me, and I am very, very pleased to welcome her back.
Wow, thank you. Thanks, y'all. The storyteller. Once upon a time, long, long ago, in a small village lived an old woman known as the storyteller. This comes down. Got it. She'd been part of the village for as long as anyone could remember, but no one actually knew where she was from. It didn't matter, though. Everyone in the village loved her and sought her out because she was known to have the best stories in all the land. She had a story for everything. Stories for times of joy, times of sorrow, triumph, and loss. Stories for when you were hurt or excited. Stories that taught about love, and stories that shared wisdom about what to do when you were afraid. Every night, she would light her fire and wait for folks to join her. And every night they did, one at a time, to ask for the kind of stories that they needed to hear. When she was done, the villagers would often ask her if there was anything they could give her as payment for her stories, and her answer was always the same. Yes, she would say, you can tell me a tale from your own life. Not money, but lots of appreciation. But the villagers rarely did. Most often, they would leave her a small homemade gift instead, and they kept their own stories really close, fearing judgment or ridicule. One day, a young man who was burdened by a painful past approached the storyteller. He had lost his horse in a tragic accident, and the weight of his grief was more than he could bear. He pleaded with her to tell a story that might offer him some peace. And the storyteller, with a gentle smile, said, "The most powerful stories are not the ones we hear, but the ones we tell. Your story, though heavy, holds the key to healing." And so hesitantly, the young man started to share his story of loss, his voice trembling with emotion. As he spoke, the storyteller listened attentively, her eyes reflecting a deep understanding. And as villagers passed by her fire, they stopped to hear what the young man was saying. The storyteller motioned for them to sit down, and they did, one after the other, more and more. When he finished, the storyteller told a story of her own, a tale of a young girl who had also had loss in her life but found strength in sharing her grief with others. And when she finished, another villager shared a story, and then another, and then another. As the night went on and the fire burned hot and bright, they started to realize that their pain was not unique, that others had walked similar paths, and by sharing their own stories, they could offer comfort and support to each other who might be struggling in silence. The next morning, the storyteller was gone, and by her fire was a note that said, "You don't need me anymore, for you have each other, and together you have more stories than you will ever need if you just remember to share them." And so, from that day on, each of the villagers took turns at night lighting the fire and sharing their stories. And the story circles grew and grew until eventually the whole village was there taking turns, listening and sharing stories for times of joy and times of sorrow and triumph and loss.
Would you join me in this morning's prayer and reflection? The God that we know and we see hope and resilience and kindness, whatever it is that has kept you going and held you, be with us on this day. And right now, hold all of those who are grieving, all those whose table is a little more empty. Help us to keep those connections we have to those we've lost. Help our hearts to always be healing. And help us to hold the 9 years it's been since that terrible summer and the flood where the anniversary was recently. If you have traumas that are being stirred up, may you find care and may you know that you are held. Today is the day where we can bring about more kindness to this world, more connection. May tyrants cease, may wars end, may love fall on this earth. Amen. We have cards for folks to sign in the reception area. One of them is for Julie Richard, who was unexpectedly hospitalized this past week. She is out and doing okay, and so we're just going to send a thinking of you card to her. And if you would, we have two different stones. The first is for an uncle of a church member, and I want to be very clear about it. He's an uncle of a church member, and his name is Salvatore Collada, and he died this week. So Salvatore is okay, but the person he was named after has died. His service is on Monday. Also, we heard just this morning, after a long fight with dementia, Maxine Bromelsik has died. So we're placing a stone for her. She was a long-term member of this church. Her daughter, Mary Ellen Hale, is also a member of this church, and we don't yet know about a memorial service or anything like that. On August 30th at 10 a.m. will be Jeffrey Lindsay's memorial service. That is Diana Doro's son. This ritual we have is open to everybody, visitor and member alike. We invite those who wish to come forward either along the west or the east wall, online, type it in, take a stone, let it be whatever you're carrying today and place it in the symbol of this united community, the chalice bowl. We now invite those who wish to come forward as we place the stones. we say together, with hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is the symbol of power of love.
As each goose flaps its wings, it creates an uplift for the birds following. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock adds 71% more flying range than if each bird flew alone. So the lesson is that people who share a common direction and sense of community can get where they are going quicker and easier because they are traveling on the thrust of one another. Whenever a goose falls out of formation, it suddenly feels the drag and resistance of trying to fly alone and quickly gets back into formation to take advantage of the lifting power of the bird immediately in front. So the lesson is, if we have as much sense as a goose, we will join in formations with those who are headed where we want to go. When the lead goose gets tired, it rotates back into the formation and another goose flies at the point position. So it pays to take turns doing the hard task and sharing leadership with people as with geese, interdependent with one another. The geese in formation honk from behind to encourage those up front to keep up their speed. So we need to make sure our honking from behind is encouraging, not something less helpful. When a goose gets sick or wounded or shot down, two geese drop out of formation and follow their fellow member down to help provide protection. They stay with this member of the flock until the wounded geese is either able to fly again or dies. Then they launch out on their own with another formation to catch up with their own flock. So the lesson is, if we have as much sense as these geese, we'll stand by each other like that.
I wasn't sure who was going to invite you to rise as you are willing and able and join us in singing our next hymn, but please rise as you are willing and able and let's sing.
Never turning back.
song is new to you. I am so glad to be here among you this morning. Thank you, Nathan, for inviting me. I want to start by telling you just a little bit about myself. I am a plant ecologist and a botanist turned minister, and I carry that training with me into my ministry. That means that I understand the interdependent web of which we're both a part is both a tangible, ecological thing and an abstract metaphor for what I call God. The tangible web is comprised of energy moving from one trophic level to another, and the cycles of water and nutrients that support all life. It's a real thing that we can measure. The God web is also comprised of energy, the energy that arises within and between us as we interact with each other and everything that's around us. So for me, religion is simply another language to describe the things that science also explores. It's been quite a journey to get there. And when I pay attention to them together, they give me a framework for my actions. If we are all connected to each other and everything around us, then it matters what we do. That is especially important to me these days, as I try to continue to center love and justice while our democracy is being intentionally dismantled and we, the people, are being turned against one another. I didn't learn this in school growing up, but I now understand that the people who developed our nation's early economic structures, especially here in the South, created the idea of race and then used a divide and conquer strategy to rupture class solidarity at the bottom of the income ladder, which helped them keep control of their region's economic and political systems. Our current president used the same strategy of directing blame away from those at the top and dividing working people against each other in his election campaign, blaming people of color, immigrants, and trans and queer people for our daily struggles. And he and the MAGA movement are continuing to use this strategy to build fear and polarization, to make it acceptable somehow to send brown people and those who would defend them to horrific detention centers outside our country, to build concentration camps, yes, in our own country, to try to end marriage equality and bodily autonomy, to keep trans kids from getting the medical care they need to survive this world, to control our kids' educations by threatening to cut off funding to schools who don't comply with the structure of white supremacy, all under the pretext of safety for people who look like me. We are being pressured to obey in advance. The historian Timothy Snyder's term in his 2017 book on tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century, which means obeying in advance, giving power to authoritarianism by adapting to the conditions it imposes before the consequences of agreeing to them will impact us personally. And we're being pressured to give up the rights of others to secure our own safety. I think about the tools that we have against this strategy as a good resistance organizer. And I think they are the very things that they're trying to eliminate: love and inclusion. Our tools are believing and acting as if each of us matters, as if for each of us being who we are is a gift to our communities, embracing our differences and learning from them, caring about each other and caring and taking care of each other, seeking out community and building community. How many of you are here in Unitarian Universalism because you believe in these things, right? I'm here because I believe this faith tradition offers us so many ways to practice these tools. Every week in our congregations, someone is welcomed into a community that values them for what they bring. Every week, people who have wildly different ideas of what God is or if God is come together to honor each other's journeys and celebrate the joy of learning from each other. We listen to each other because we know that each of our stories will hold wisdom for someone else. We hold a set of values in common that call us to create a world aligned with those values, a world of care and peace and justice. And as we work together to create that world, because those values are grounded in our deep interdependence, which teaches us that all of us need all of us, we know how to be like the geese. As each goose flaps its wings, it creates an uplift for the bird following. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock adds 71% more flying range than if each bird flew alone. Delegates from our congregations across the nation gather every year in a General Assembly where they create statements of conscience on our behalf to speak to the larger world on UU values and to encourage each of us and our congregations to take action on the matters being spoken to. The three statements passed this year were first, to affirm the inherent worth and inalienable rights of immigrants. Second, to reaffirm that we are a pro-democracy movement with an obligation to oppose authoritarianism. And third, a call for us to advocate and organize in response to the global crisis in funding for LGBTQI organizations. Organizing around these statements is our movement's V formation. And the work you all do here with your partners in Baton Rouge is your congregation's V formation. Whenever a goose falls out of formation, it suddenly feels the drag and resistance of trying to fly alone and quickly gets back into formation to take advantage of the lifting power of the bird immediately in front. Our lifting power is the sharing of our stories. When we build space in which we can open ourselves to one another, and when we take the time and the energy to listen, we open ourselves into compassion. And compassion for each other is the foundation for that world of care and peace and justice. When the lead goose gets tired, it rotates back into the formation, and another goose flies at the point position. Like in today's lesson, when we take turns lighting our fire and sharing our stories, the story circles grow and grow until eventually the whole community shows up to take turns, listening and sharing stories for times of joy and sorrow and triumph and loss. In the congregation I serve, we call doing that together shared ministry. We're all good at different things, right? So it makes sense that different parts of our shared work are led by different people in rotation. And we all get tired, right? So we lean on each other and we take turns leading and doing. The geese in formation honk from behind to encourage those up front to keep up their speed. Shared ministry based on shared values also means that it's not just the people in leadership roles who have a voice in what we do. As professional ministers, it's mine and Nathan's and Meredith's jobs to offer leadership and guidance. And it's all of our jobs to decide what we do and to contribute our leadership and our insights and our skills toward getting them done. When a goose gets sick or wounded or shot down, two geese drop out of formation and follow their fellow member down to help provide protection. They stay with this member of the flock until the wounded goose is either able to fly again or dies. Then they launch out on their own with another formation, or they catch up with their own flock. Working to build a world of care and peace and justice is not all we do. We take care of each other at the same time. And we welcome folks from other flocks who catch up with us, so the community learns to change and grow with each addition of each new member. It also means being brave enough to try to come into community. If we believe that each of us matters, then it matters that we make space for each of us, including those folks who haven't found us yet.
So a reminder, we're about to do the offering. If you wanted to sign up for one of the many auction things that were available, there is still an opportunity to do so. The sheets are not out right now, but they will be during middle hour. Look at this. This is real time, me looking at someone who knows what's going on and asking them. Anyway, so if you would like to sign up, there's still plenty of opportunities. This whole month, we are sharing our offering with Humanities Amped. This is an organization, they're based out of Terre Haute. Some of the founders of this organization came out of this church. Basically, it's an organization that says the arts and spoken word, they help you get through school. They help you become an adult. They help you understand the world. And I am very pleased that this church is able to support them. So I'll ask you to give very generously as this morning's offering is gratefully given and received.
Dr. Robin Wall Kimmerer is a mother, biologist, and plant ecologist, published author, distinguished teaching professor at the State University of New York College of Environmental Science and Forestry, and is the founding director of the Center for Native Peoples and the Environment, whose mission is to create programs which draw on the wisdom of both indigenous and scientific knowledge for our shared goals of sustainability. Ecologists are re-evaluating the assumption that intense competition is the primary force regulating evolutionary success. Evolutionary biologist David Sloan Wilson has found that competition makes sense only when we consider the unit of evolution to be the individual. When the focus shifts to the level of a group, cooperation is the better model, not only surviving, but thriving. There's no question that all living beings experience some level of scarcity at various points, and therefore that competition for limited resources like light or water or soil nitrogen will occur. But since competition reduces the carrying capacity for all concerned, natural selection favors those who can avoid competition. Oftentimes, this avoidance is achieved by shifting one's needs away from whatever is in short supply, as though evolution were suggesting, if there's not enough of what you want, then want something else. The specialization to avoid scarcity has led to a dazzling array of biodiversity, each species avoiding competition by being different. Diversity in ways of being is an antidote. Competition between individuals for success was long seen as the driving force in ecology. But that approach has been increasingly questioned, and scientific evidence is mounting that mutualism and cooperation also play a major role in evolution and enhance ecological well-being, especially in changing environments. Mutualism or reciprocal exchanges create abundance for both partners by sharing.
It's a lot of science words. It basically boils down to this. Competition makes sense only when we consider the unit of evolution to be the individual. And diversity in ways of being is an antidote. Survivability in the natural world might be more about an organism or population's ability to share resources than about competing for them. And as an ecologist turned minister, I think very much about how true that is for human systems as well. In this world where resources are most certainly limited, we have come to believe that we have to compete with each other so that we as individuals might survive. But humans who share increase the possibility of our whole species to thrive, or even, given the current state of our environment, to survive. In other words, this idea that the MAGA movement is perpetuating, that my safety is only possible if Black and brown people, if queer and trans people are controlled or removed, is bunk. In fact, it's the opposite. As an ecologist, I know that highly diverse ecosystems are more stable than those with low numbers of species, right? You go out into a wetland, and the more species they are, the more stable that wetland is. The more kinds of things there are living in a place, the more roles that the ecosystem needs to function are filled. The more kinds of things there are living in a place, the more roles that the ecosystem needs to function are filled. And diversity leads to higher resilience as well, because a high number of species increases the chance that some of them will adapt to change easily, which can help the system survive, including other species that might adapt more slowly. And this too is true in human systems. When we have a wide range of people making up a community, that community is stronger and more resilient. Just like diverse ecosystems, diverse communities can function well because there are people who can fill all of the roles. And they're more resilient because we adapt, each of us, to different kinds of changes in different ways. So each of us can take turns leading how we change so that we can all thrive. The way we get to be more diverse is to practice inclusion and storytelling. These practices start with our own hunger to feel part of something, right? And when we're invited in, it continues when we open the circles that we are part of to include others, stretching both our communities and our own hearts. So the practice of inclusion is really the practice of welcoming those who will change us toward the goal of helping us all thrive. That means, in our faith tradition, that we need all of us, including people very new to our congregations and our faith tradition, all of us, to share our stories and our beliefs so we might grow in understanding of who we are as a community and how to do our shared work. The more people of different talents and backgrounds and identities are part of our community, the more resources we have as a whole to nurture our own spiritual wholeness and to serve each other and our community. And the more we get to stretch as individuals.
Right where you're seated, let's do this next hymn.
What
To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know not that you can do whatever you want. You are not a kudzu vine eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside of you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold expanding. To actually be free, you must know you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise.
So I hear in this piece from Reverend Soto that if we are to survive this administration's divide and conquer strategy and build that world of care and peace and justice, that we have to let the lessons of diversity and cooperation widen our understanding of what freedom is and resist that divide and conquer strategy because it creates suffering. I don't just mean that people in marginalized communities are suffering, I mean all of us. We all suffer when we try to erase the history and experiences of Black and brown and queer and trans people to assure the comfort of white cis people. We all suffer when we allow immigrant families to be separated and disappeared. We all suffer when we imprison Black people at a hugely disproportionate ratio to their population. We all suffer when we fund genocide. These are not things humans can do to other humans without consequence. We all suffer when we buy into this fear-filled us against them mentality, when we politicize and polarize our points of view. And in this frame, we fall into thinking that we're looking out for number one by thinking first or only about upholding our individual freedom to live however we choose. But what we're really doing is putting other people at risk. And when we put other people at risk, we also risk losing pieces of our own humanity. I think this is why I, and probably many of us, are reeling so hard from the impact of this administration. We are living in a 200-year history of colonization and subjugation, and they are trying to bring all of that back as the dominant way of being. And you all here live with that in a very different way than I know, having grown up in the North. I'm really grateful that my child is going to college here, where he can absorb how people have continued to survive and thrive under conditions that I am just now being exposed to. I get to learn from that. Those of us for whom the systems of supremacy were built are being forced to learn to stop thinking first or only of ourselves. We get to think more about how we take up space and how we move about in the world, to turn away from the inequities built into the fiber of our nation. When we think of freedom only as the ability to do whatever we want, we lose the ability to care about the impact of doing whatever we want on others. So when we're asked to consider that impact, the first thing we think about is the loss of our own freedom. And then the fear creeps in. And the responses to that fear range from a resurgence of white militants and neo-Nazis in our midst to the election of a president who wants a locking in of that frame of colonization and subjugation. Here's the good news. Our faith tradition carries the countercultural assertion that this kind of individual freedom is a false narrative. That freedom is instead rooted in connection, in accountability, in relationship, and that our ethics are relational as well. It carries the countercultural assertion that the most effective kind of power is the kind that we create and wield together toward the common good, rather than the kind that gives one group of people power over another. That we are bound to each other by threads of connectedness. That the common good is not in conflict with our individual needs. That, as Dr. King and others have told us, none of us are free until all of us are free. That all of us need all of us in this beautiful, diverse world. May it be so, and may we be so.
Let's sing. I invite you to rise if your body lets you.
May we remember that we carry with us the power to make sacred space everywhere. May we hold the love, the courage, and the strength that we learn and practice together, and do everything we can to move them out into the world, knowing that we have enough and that we are enough. Go in peace. Blessed be, and amen.